Modern consumer vehicles are engineered around a very specific set of priorities. We want them to be safe, we want them to be highly efficient, comfortable, and easy to operate without a second thought. The Ducati Panigale V4 throws every single one of those priorities completely out the window. Ride this in the city, and you'll get maybe 10 kilometers to a liter. The engine heat will actively roast your legs in stop-and-go traffic. The riding posture puts brutal weight directly on your wrists and back. And for the privilege of all that discomfort, you'll pay upwards of 30 lakh rupees. Because it is so highly strung, you have to treat the throttle with absolute respect. In tight spaces, one clumsy millimeter of wrist movement delivers an immediate, terrifying burst of speed. By every standard metric of daily transportation, it fails. But nobody buys this machine to commute. They buy it because it is an uncompromising, road-legal weapon built entirely for the sensation of speed. To reach that extreme level of performance, Ducati had to make a highly controversial decision. They walked away from their legendary V-twin engine heritage. Instead, they lifted the Desmosedici Stradale V4 engine directly from their professional MotoGP racing prototypes and dropped it straight into a street-legal chassis. The math on this engine is staggering. It produces over 215 horsepower and pushes the bike to speeds well past 300 kilometers per hour, revving into a brutally high redline. At lower RPMs, it iums with a deep mechanical growl. But as you twist the throttle and let the revs climb, that growl sharply transitions into a screaming, high-pitched roar. When you experience that sound paired with violent acceleration, your brain actually struggles to process how fast the physical world is moving past you. At 300 kilometers per hour, air resistance acts like a solid wall, turning a high-speed run into a brutal battle with physics. Every sharp fairing on this bike is precision cut to slice through that wall of pressure. The most distinct feature borrowed from the track is the set of aerodynamic winglets protruding from the front profile. As the bike accelerates, these wings capture high-speed air rushing over them, channeling it to generate massive downward physical force. That downforce is crucial. It actively pins the front tire to the ground to prevent accidental wheelies, keeps the bike highly stable on straightaways, and allows the rider to enter corners with surgical precision. Every visible gap, curve, and sharp line on the bodywork is a functional, calculated weapon used to physically hold the motorcycle to the earth. So if the engine wants to break the speed limit in first gear and the aerodynamics fight the air itself, how does an ordinary human actually survive riding it? The answer is an invisible network of artificial intelligence, constantly monitoring the bike's state. The onboard computers track lean angles and available grip, actively deploying a massive suite of electronics, cornering ABS, traction control, slide control, and wheelie control. Because this system processes thousands of data points a second, it makes active micro-adjustments to the throttle faster than human reflexes ever could. Riding a Panigale V4 is an intense collaboration. You provide the inputs, and the electronics instantly calculate exactly how much power the rear tire can handle without letting you crash. For the riders who look at all of that and somehow still want more, Ducati builds even more extreme variants. Models like the SP2 and the silver-tanked V4R strip away pretense of street riding with carbon fiber wheels, dry clutches, and race-spec braking. These variants prove who this machine is really for. It is absolutely not for beginners. It belongs in the hands of experienced riders looking for clinical perfection on a closed track. We live in an era where most consumer engineering focuses on smoothing out the edges, filtering the noise, and wrapping the user in a bubble of sanitized comfort. The Panigale V4 completely rejects that logic. It is loud, it is violently fast, it demands intense physical effort, and it requires your absolute attention. Sensible vehicles exist merely to transport you, but this machine was built exclusively